for this one, a little bit of a random video, because we've had lots and lots of sort of questions and messages, and the audience, or a lot of the audience that have been watching the videos, a lot of pleasure anglers that are sort of wanting to branch into match fishing, aren't they?
Absolutely, mate, yeah.
So what we want to do, we want to have a very basic rundown of sort of how matches work. Do you know what I mean? The sort of things that we think nothing of.
Yeah, that's it. How you'd book on, what you do, and what happens when you get to your peg.
What confuses people, isn't it? That's what we're going to go through.
To be fair, everything confuses me. So if I can do it, folks, there's hope for every single one of you. It's right though, isn't it?
You could do it too. Right, so basically, first thing, the way things are at the minute, everything's changed, hasn't it, when it comes to booking on and all that whatnot. So after you've decided where you want to go...
You were going to say naughty words then, weren't you? And
no,
all
I wasn't.
That. Were you not?
No, I wasn't. No, I'm loving it. I love how things are now.
To be fair, yeah, it's not too bad. No, you mean like the fact that you know where you're going to be before?
Just the efficiency of everything.
Yeah,
I hate queuing up. And now there's very little queuing up.
Yeah, but I'm a sociable person, Jay, so I like the little chats in the morning.
You still have that. That's what telephones are for.
Oh, you're not? Oh, right, then, yeah, I suppose so.
Anyway, right. So after you've chosen your venue, obviously, you need to work out how you need to book on.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few venues, not many I know in our way, but some venues you can just turn up on the day. I mean, it's always worth a phone call to find out, isn't it?
Yep.
And a lot of venues now where you're having to book in advance, be that a week in advance, a few days in advance, it all depends on availability.
I mean, advisable with how popular fishing is at the minute, it's fantastic to book on a week before.
Yeah, the weekend before you plan on going. That tends to be the way of doing things. So give the fishery a quick call.
And some are different in the respect that, you know, you've got to pay your pools money, which is usually around 20 quid, Jay, isn't it?
Yes.
Saying £20.
Yeah, 15 to 25 quid's what it's going to be, isn't it, wherever you go?
Yep, so bank transfer that straight away. Then literally you get there and, you know, there'll either be a table there or you go to like the cafe area, it's all outdoors and they'll draw the peg for you. Or you arrive and you pay your money on the day, but cash is, as I say, there's not many venues doing that, is there, with a cash situation?
I'd say about 50-50.
Would you?
Yeah.
Mate, you fish more matches than me. I haven't fished like one this year.
Well, either way, there'll be a designated way of you paying. It's either you'll have to pay by PayPal or bank transfer before you turn up, or you pay 20 quid on the day. That's pretty much. And normally you're driving in, you may draw through your window, you have to go to an area, whatever. And what you have, someone will have a bag with all the pegs in that are designated for the match that day.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they will draw you a peg to tell you what position, you know what I mean, what, like a peg that was sat on here today, what location you have for the day for that 5 or 6 hour duration.
Numbers, isn't it? It's not like words or things like it's numbers. So we're on Jay's on
talking
peg 12
of which, I'm going to go weird. I once drew a peg at Hawkstone Park. Yeah, and it was Carpy Lake. Yeah, we're going random here, aren't we? It was a carp, and you know carpies all have named pegs. Yeah. And I got to my peg.
Did you really?
Yeah, and it said chip peg. That was its name. It had a plaque saying poo peg, but with the. Did
it actually?
Yeah, I've still got a photo of it.
What, no number or anything? Just
it had a number in our match, paper numbers, but it was called chip peg.
Because it was no good, obviously.
Well, it's not. They don't name a good peg.
Well, anyway. Someone might have done the business on that peg. You know what I mean? That's all I'm thinking, Jay.
I'll show you anyway. So anyway, you've got, yeah, well off track with that one. You go to your peg.
Oh, mate.
Obviously, and as a rule, you normally get around an hour to an hour and a half to set up in a normal. If you're just getting into match fishing, it's not going to be a big high-profile event you go to unless you're very, very, very brave. It's going to be a club event or it's going to be an open match.
We'd always recommend club events to start off with, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Get used to them first, go to a few different venues and then try around at open match fishing. But I can assure you it'll do your head in to start off with, because the thing with open matches, when you're just going to 1 or 2 venues, you get what's called venue experts. I mean, he's a venue expert and every venue he goes to, whoops, but you get venue experts who might fish the venue 3, 4, 5 times a week and they're so hard to beat. Most of the time they'll tell you, wouldn't you? Are you having that? They'll tell you.
Yeah,
some of them don't though.
You need to. That'd be it, mate. My number one advice is try and speak to everyone and ask everyone.
Yeah, definitely.
You will get some people that are a bit abrupt.
You'll get to know who to approach and who to avoid, because there is some folks like that, isn't there?
It is. That's a key thing. Don't be shy on asking any questions you have. Nothing's stupid.
No, definitely not.
I mean, just ask people if you're unsure of anything. So you're gonna have your peg. You're gonna get dictated the peg that you have to fish for the day. I want to go back to pools first.
Go on.
You're paying your 20 quid or your whatever it is. With that money that you're paying, what you have is first you have your day ticket money that goes that varies.
Yeah.
Depending on the venue.
What we're saying, £8 to £10 or something.
Yeah, that much. Would
you not?
Yeah, five to somewhere between 5 and 10 quid.
Good.
That percentage goes out. The higher the day ticket, normally the more you pay to fish the match as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It might go up a bit. So that gets taken away straight away, your day ticket for the day. Then the pools overall, lots of venues, they tend to pay top 3 overall in a match. That's normally, as a norm, that's going to be the first people that get paid out in the match. Pretty much every single match I fish, or as long as the venues are big enough, normally 15 anglers plus. What you have as well is isolated sections within the match. There may be 4 anglers, there may be 5 anglers, there may be 10 anglers. That it's almost a second match within the main match, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, and the whole venue, you might have the top 3 overall that get paid out. But then you might have, in a 40 peg match, you might have 10 4-peg sections as well. And they may be fishing for 20 quid, 40 quid. So, I mean, a percentage of your money that goes.
And they do that to give like everyone a chance, don't they?
It's something to fish for.
Back. Yeah,
if you've drawn a really poor peg, then at least you've got something. There's a target. You know, if you can't win because you're in a really poor area, it's something nice to fish for. Very, very popular these days is having that extra little thing to fish on it. You get your money back, and it's just something to a target for the day, which would be for someone getting into match fishing, a nice realistic target to.
That's it. We always say like, just go for your section first. You know, don't worry about the main frame. If it comes, awesome. But just go for your section. Go for something. You've always got something to fish for, then, haven't you?
Yeah. It's a nice little thing, isn't
Absolutely.
it, to go. So that's pretty much all your pools.
Golden peg.
I was going on that. I'm on it.
I thought you'd seen one. I thought you'd seen the
today.
ornamental. I'm like, what's he seen there? He's pointing like this, folks. I'm like, what have you seen? Instant winner.
Yeah, I'm on it. That doesn't happen a lot, but a few venues have what they call a golden peg or a bonus ball. Yeah, which may be £1 out of the money you pay. It may be an optional extra. It's always worth, if you hear it, ask the question. I mean, if it's occurring, and the way that works, I've seen that work a few ways.
I like the Brookside one. I'll tell you about that in a bit.
Yeah, well, the way a bonus ball works, it doesn't. You don't hear of it very often these days.
No.
But I think in club fishing, I think it happens a bit.
Yeah, they all tend to put like £1 or £2 into the golden pot, don't they?
Yeah, and the way a golden peg works is once everyone's drawn, or sometimes before everyone's drawn, a single peg might be drawn out the bag, and if you're lucky enough to win off that peg that's been drawn, you get the extra money.
I mean, bearing in mind, folks, this money could build up over weeks, months. You know what I mean? Sometimes, I think 18 months is the longest I've ever known one for, and it was over £1,000.
Did it? Was that Brookside?
Yes.
Was it? That was.
I may or may not have won it.
Did you?
Yeah. It was amazing, but you know, it just like accumulate. Usually, sort of, it gets to 200-300 quid's a lot of pennies in it when everyone's putting a nugget in and all that. But yeah, it can happen.
I miss the old bonus ball, but yeah, I like that. Oh, there's a few venues as well that could draw it after the match.
Yes.
And I never used to like that.
No.
Where if you win the match, you used to have another dip. And if you drew the peg that you'd been on, you'd win this additional money.
Brookside did that as well, didn't they? They put all the numbers back in, and did you have 3 goals or something? So if you got your number straight away, you get 500 or something, or the big money. If you got it second goal, you get like less and less. That's how we used to do it, wasn't it?
I think it was 3 goals. Oh,
you go in and get the number.
Wasn't it every £10 you had? You got
had that many goals. Oh, it could have been, mate.
That's what it was. Yeah. It was £50 you got 1 go. If you got £60 you got 2, £70 3. Like that. Yeah, imagine it now with the weights now, £200.
You just be there, you get all the balls. Just give it me, all the balls.
But anyway, so it doesn't happen very often, but yeah, there's that option as well as the golden ball. So once you've drawn that, you've gone to your peg. You're pointing at me again. I'm on it.
What are you allowed to do?
So when you shoot your peg?
Before the all in.
Yes, that's definitely the way. So you're getting your gear ready, of course, before the start of the match in whatever time you get. Yeah. Say the match starts at 11, you're going to get to your peg at 9, half 9, even 10. Depends on the venue. Before you start the match, the biggest thing that you're not allowed to do is feed any bait into that peg. You can't do anything that involves fishing.
No, or the likes of gardening and that. Each fishery will have its own set rules regarding gardening. You know, this stuff,
tidying the vegetation around your peg.
You know, certainly likes of putting your landing net in to scoop any dead vegetation out, or putting your hand in is a big no-no on a lot of venues. Some venues allow it, but most venues that we'll go to, you're not allowed to put your landing net under anything or your hand or anything. You can tidy your peg out, as you say, you know, with whatever shears, if you're allowed, and things like that, can't you? And cutting devices. But plumbing, you know, obviously you're allowed to do that. There's some venues you're not allowed to put a pole pot on. Can't put that in your pole and go and plumb it up, because obviously there might be, you know, bait inside that.
Yeah, I'd just advise against that to prevent controversy.
Yeah,
anyway,
the other thing as well is open water, fishing a feeder. Always cast in with a lead first. You're not allowed to cast in with a feeder. That's another one, isn't it?
Yeah.
So anything to do with involving bait or anything like that, you're not allowed to do it. But you can set up as many rods or pole sections as you like, basically, can't you?
Yeah, set up as much kit as you want. It's just the only way you can break the water
Yeah.
is by plumbing up or gaining distance. Yeah, not gaining distance.
You mean like going halfway between you and the next angler?
No, clipping up.
Right, yeah,
clipping up with a feeder.
Go ahead,
So you can clip up to a distance on a feeder. Yeah, that would be allowed with a, let's say, not with a feeder, with a bomb, but no other form of breaking the waters other than with a plummet.
Yeah.
Maybe testing a rig. You're allowed to test the rig for shotting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing, but just no bait. I mean,
No bait in the band, folks.
It's
How dare you? But if you like him, you'll catch a fish without any bait in the band. Just a band on, remember that?
I'm very reluctant to test
You don't do
rigs.
it anymore, do you?
No, I don't like testing rigs. Anyway.
So what we're saying, like, obviously, your area then. So you get to your peg, you got a spare peg either side. Usually, it's halfway between yourself and the next angler is your zone to fish in.
Yeah.
That's right, isn't it?
Yeah, halfway distance in front of you if there's people opposite.
Yeah.
Or halfway to the people either side.
Yeah.
Yeah. It could be the next peg though. If you end up with an empty peg either each side, all you're allowed to is to the first leg of the peg, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're often not allowed to pass the pegs.
I mean, the beauty of all these commercial fisheries and obviously natural waters as well, they've got a set list of rules. You know, so club matches, it might be in your book, on your card. On these open water commercials, you know, there'll be a board with all the rules on. So just double check them first.
Yes.
What else are we going to next? I thought it in my head. The what? Sorry.
Net limits.
Net limits. Yeah. Net limits.
You know, let me do this well because you don't like it. Yeah. Net limits. That's like my sponsorship question.
Yeah.
Net limits. They're in place at 99% of fisheries now. Yeah, which means that you've got to take the right number of nets for the sort of weights that are winning. So have a quick check at what weights are winning.
I mean, some fisheries, the nets are provided for you, but
yeah, not very often.
Not very often.
No, normally you're going
you
to
need
have
what
your
you're
own
saying.
nets.
Minimum. Well, it's whatever.
You need
whatever
three.
You
You need three wherever you go. Yeah, because I don't know anywhere that's less than £50. Yeah, £50 net limit seems to be about the average, £50 to £60, and just working that. Just don't be shy and putting 3 nets in at the start. And I mean, a clicker's a brilliant thing to have.
Yes,
you got a
it
clicker
is
to
if you
show?
know
Have you
to
got one?
work them.
Have you got one?
Yeah, it's in my bag over there.
We'll forget about that then. But a weight clicker's always worth having in your side tray, just to understand what's going in your net all of the time. Just a very, very basic guide to putting them in is always exaggerate your weight to your fish. Yeah, if you go with a bit bigger than what you think they are, go to £45, stop.
That's it. I was going to say I got to £40 and then stop, then work on to the next one.
Yeah.
Unless like it's sensible net, which I prefer, where 3 or 4 nets in at the start,
Split
your fish all the way so there's no net limits. I'd much prefer that.
You've not got to
then
think
you're not
about
worried
that,
about it, are you?
No, but when the net limits are in place, so work on one, put them in one, move to the next, put them in that, and just have them clickers. A clicker's a really valuable tool, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
For gaining the right sort of weights in your net, if you're lucky enough to catch multiple amounts of fish for the nets. So what else have we got to cover?
I reckon bait limits. You know, each of these fisheries will have strict bait limits that you've got to adhere to.
Yeah, that's just a case of reading the rules.
Reading the rules again. The other thing as well, which I thought of, so obviously you'll hear a hooter or you'll hear someone shouting all in, and obviously that's to start your match, so you can do whatever you want then basically. And then all out will be another for all out. If you've got a fish on, you're allowed 15 minutes after the whistle to land that fish, aren't you?
Yes.
Very, very rare.
And why'd you shout?
What do you shout when you got a fish on?
Fish on! They do actually shout fish on when you got a fish on. I can't remember the last time I've had a fish on and all out. I'm just like not lucky enough.
I had one on Tuesday.
No, you
I'll have one
would
on
make me
Tuesday.
sick. But yeah, you'll have 15 minutes to net that fish, and if you don't net it within 15 minutes, that fish does not count.
Yeah.
And then that's it, innit? Obviously, at the moment, we've weighing in.
Well, wait there, go back to during the match. Yeah, during the match, most venues, when it comes to feeding, you're only allowed to fish one rod.
Oh, right, okay, yeah, so you can't have multiple.
Well, you can have multiple set up. As much as you want around, you can be set up. You can only have one rod in the water at one time. Yeah, and most venues, I'd say as well, you cannot feed, like, often you'll be fishing a rod, and certain venues you're allowed to feed with a pole cup at the same time as you're fishing a rod.
Yes.
I'm not a fan of that.
No,
just
you
not
lose
for any
your rod.
reason. Just you get a bite as soon as you do it.
As soon as like halfway out, your tip's like, oh, no, there's one on.
So really, just don't do it. Yeah.
No.
Just if you when you bring your rod in, that's when you can feed another line with a pole cup or whatever else. You can catapult at any time.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can fish maybe a rod to an island and still catapult on a pole line, or throw bait down the edge, or throw bait short, but you're not allowed to. I mean, another rig can't enter the water, can it? Only one rig at a time can ever be in the water.
Yeah.
That's great for me. But yeah, after that, pretty much, you have your 5 hours fishing.
Yeah, and then obviously at the moment with you know, social distancing and all that, folks, you know, the fishery staff will weigh in for you.
Yes.
You've got to pull your net, and this is why they've got net limits. Obviously, £50, you know, is reasonable in it to pull out. That's why the strict limits on that. So you can lift your fish out, put them into the net, then the fishery staff will come over and weigh them for you. But the old way is just like you get on it and then put the bucket on and what have you in it and put the fish back yourself. But they'll all do that for you.
That'll all be done nice and neatly for you. And then all you got to do is pick up your money and your job done.
Go the Golden Arches on the way back, innit? Get the old Big Mac meal. You were on the Golden Arches.
But
not endorsing any sponsorship commitments from Golden Arches, by the way, but McDonald's, if you're interested, you know.
Yes, but dead simple. It is. It's the key thing is what we said is don't be afraid to ask questions. If you're unsure of anything, and there's bailiffs in there.
I mean, I always used to, if I was doing rubbish in a match back in the day, how important is it, Jay, to go and sit behind someone who's doing well or, you know, is really experienced? You gain a lot from that, but it's a bit...
It's dodgy at the minute.
It's dodgy at the minute.
It's questions.
Yeah.
I mean,
questions
at the end of the match, whatever you've got questions about, whether it's how someone's caught, how the match works in general.
And again, that's the beauty of social media as well, isn't it? Going on there and, you know, looking what people have caught and asking the questions.
Message Andy, he will tell you anything you need to know. You message me as well.
Yeah, no, you can message me. I'll tell you anything. But I'll ring him up first and ask him and then I'll tell you.
But yeah, a basic guide to a match and hopefully help you out a little bit.